Welcome to another edition of the Augusta Prep Podcast, the CavsCast. My name is Chris Gay. I'm the Director of Communications, and I'm here with one of the all-time top 10 English teachers in the Augusta area, Nick Mims.
Hello.
And so how long have you been at Augusta Prep?
This is my 12th year.
All right, do we have that math correct?
Now I know. You've asked me this before, and I'm never sure. I always get it wrong, but I've checked with my wife, and she is more on top of how long I've been at my job.
Wives know best, that's for certain. Okay, and English, you teach upper school English here, and one of the most interesting things is you also teach a movie class.
I do, with our theater director, Jamie McAteer. We co-teach it. We conceived of the idea together. That was something that we, as friends, always talked about movies, especially sports movies, and then wanting to somehow bring a film class into Augusta Prep.
And how long has that been going on?
This is our third year now.
Third year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I overshot it before when I was talking to you.
Yeah, you were. So, yeah. Okay.
This is our third year. And it's been a lot of fun. We're well supported in some of our ideas that we want to do. The Fine Arts Department is a great department. It's an art credit here. Mm-hmm. So,
what do you hope your students get out of your movie class other than just sitting there watching movies?
I want them to, watching a movie is just a great thing to do with a group of people, like seeing a movie in a theater. We have it in our theater here at Prep. We put it on the big screen and watch it, and it's always fun for Mr. Mack and I as we're showing some students a movie they never have seen before. But what I want students to get out of it is to see movies as something more than is just entertainment. It is an art form. It's a visual element that extends out of my English class. So you can watch a movie and you can love the story and you can love the action, but in the class we get into understanding, like, why exactly do you think it is you like this movie? You might not even realize it. There are subtle things that are happening. So we're talking about the strategies of directors as the author of the movie. We look at film angles, we look at cinematography, we look at sound design, we look at the coloring, all these little things that make a movie enjoyable, that might just pass through unseen, unnoticed, that makes it stick out in your mind. So it's a matter of being able to talk about movies in a way, film grammar, and understanding what is happening and why these decisions were made. Students, after being in class, they'll tell me that they're watching a movie they've seen 100 times, a comfort movie, but they'll come to class and say, well, now I'm like noticing angles and it's annoying. And that makes me very happy to know that I have made them see their favorite movie in a new way that they never did before.
So this is a very educational course.
We want it to be. Yes, of course. We do love watching movies, fun movies. We'll watch classics that you take a film class in college, which I did and I loved it, but you're watching lots of classic movies that maybe are not exciting or fun. So we like to mix those in and then throw in something that is more modern so that we can see how has this been influenced by those older movies.
So today's topic and why I have you on here is to talk about one of the most controversial topics, I think, in the world, probably. And that is the greatest baseball movies of all time. What are the greatest baseball movies of all time? And you and I have been talking about this for several weeks now. Mm-hmm. And before we get into the movies, I just saw in my head, like during the winter, probably throughout the year, I kind of annoy my family because just in my head, I hear dun, 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 dun. Just like the keyboard it's just music in my head. So for the past few weeks, I've been listening to Take Me Out to the Ball Game, so I did buy you some peanuts, but I could not find you any Cracker Jacks. Oh, wow. Do you know how difficult that is to find in the area?
Is it really?
It's very difficult.
I forgive you for not getting them. I understand. I didn't know they were so hard to find now.
Oh, we might have to go to the ballpark. So SRP Park,
I'm okay with that.
The Battery, we'll have to go there. So it's so funny. I was driving in today and I said, well, let's see if there's a baseball playlist on Apple Music. And guess what? There is.
Makes sense.
Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
John Fogerty.
Center field. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is on the playlist, and that's about it. I looked for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. That is not on the baseball playlist. What? Who is curating these playlists? It's 100 songs.
We need to email these people.
Well, you know what is on the playlist?
Tell me.
Who Let the Dogs Out? Classic baseball.
So it's stadium music. So it has White Stripes, Seven Nation Army, and
I believe so.
Yeah. that makes sense, I guess. But yeah, no, take me out to the ball game.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I think you can remove "Who Let the Dogs Out" and put "Take Me Out to the Ball." There's a live version of Jimmy Buffett singing on Apple Music.
Okay.
There's also Luke Combs' "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" song, which
So they have a cover.
is not the same.
Doesn't you're not going to give Luke Combs that one?
No, it's actually a sad and depressing song. It has nothing to do with baseball.
I know what you're talking. I think I know the song you're talking about. Okay, yes.
But here's something we're going to go off topic. We're going to go off topic quite a bit today. But if you already have a song and that title and that song is established,
Sure.
then you should not be allowed to have another song with the same title.
It's like a retired baseball number.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's sort of like my daughter Hannah was telling me about this song called "Cruel Summer."
Yeah, it's a Taylor Swift song. And
Yeah.
She owns that title.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Taylor Swift?
I've heard of Taylor Swift. I've seen Taylor Swift. I've also seen The Karate Kid too. So
You
I'm
mean
aware of Banana
The
Rama.
Karate Kid, TOO, not TWO. So that's another Peter Cetera song. But yeah, so she tells me about "Cruel Summer," and I've got Bananarama in my head, and then I listen to this song and I go, "This is not Bananarama. This is a different song." She should have named it something else because "Cruel Summer" was already established.
I'm gonna give Taylor this one. You really want to anger the Swifties on this podcast?
She could have called that song "A Cruel Summer," "Cruelest Summer," "The Cruel Summer."
She doesn't say it's a
But
cruel summer. It's a
She
cruel
doesn't
summer.
have to. I thought that was disrespectful to Bananarama. Name it something different.
I think that she gets to overshadow that. Sorry.
Anyway, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," which is actually a baseball movie. And seeing that we're talking about baseball movies and Apple playlists,
We're going to stay on top of it the whole time, right?
No, we're going to go off topic so many times. It's going to be ridiculous. Okay, we could talk about music all day long, but let's transition into baseball movies.
Stay focused.
Stay focused. That's not going to be an easy thing. But one of the movies that you and I recently sort of found out about, or we just didn't know about, which was a shame, but it's a 1970s film, delightful movie. Billy D. Williams,
Lando Calrissian.
Lando Calrissian, James Earl Jones,
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader,
It's a Star Wars ensemble before Star Wars.
and Richard Pryor. What was Richard Pryor in Star Wars?
I think he was a stormtrooper. You just didn't know he was there.
Is that fan fiction?
Well, we've talked about that.
So, being along in the Traveling All Stars and Motor Kings was a delightful film. It was really neat watching James Earl Jones actually playing baseball, whereas we know him more as the voice
Voice of Wisdom in Field of Dreams and Sandlot.
and the Sandlot. I mean,
He gets the bat right at the beginning when he's getting the invite pitch.
yeah, and hits a home run. And so he's playing catcher, which to me, catcher is the quarterback of a baseball team.
You told me that. I like that.
Catcher has to be the main leader on the field. I mean, look at it. I mean, A League of Their Own, Gina Davis,
Dottie. Bull Durham. Crash Davis.
Crash Davis, Jake Taylor, Major League.
It makes sense. They call the shots.
They do. So, to me, being along in the movie Take Me Out to the Ball Game with Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra are two just uplifting movies. I mean, even though being along sort of takes a turn, but
Yeah, it gets a little bit into like a not a thriller, as it's still lighthearted as a comedy, but there is what's about they're Barnstormer. They're like the Savannah Bananas that are a team. They want to play exhibition games and they travel and they're stuck under contracts, so they start their own team and travel around, and they're like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, where they're putting on more of a show. It's entertainment for the crowd, where they're doing trick plays and having fun on the field. But then the league that they broke their contract with sends some guys after him to track him down, and it gets intense.
it wasn't just A League; it was the Negro Leagues when they were super popular.
And it is somewhat based, like, it's not a true story, but it is based on like Billy D. Williams is playing a Satchel Paige type of character with as a pitcher, But the team is based on a barnstorming team called the Indianapolis Clowns, I believe,
Yeah.
that did travel around and were basically like a Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
So now I'm curious, could the Savannah Bananas beat the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings?
We need to have that. We need to have that exhibition.
We need to figure that out. The main thing to me about that movie was just watching James Earl Jones smile so much throughout that movie.
Right.
He looked so happy making it, and the movie was made in Georgia, all around the state, Macon, Savannah, I believe Columbus, and it's just the chemistry between him and Billy D. Williams and Richard Pryor. And
It's a fun movie.
so many great characters.
Highly recommended. It's on my top 9. It's in my designated hitter just to get a little ahead of it. But
Okay.
we're gonna hold off on the top 9 for now, but just as a preview.
Okay, so let's talk about you and I both we have a top 9, we have a top 10 we added.
I have a solid top 10.
Okay. So we tried to do a 9 for a starting lineup, but then, the National League adopted the designated hitter years ago. So we're going to take some liberty and add the 10th spot to our list. But
I don't tend to break from my top 10. Like I have a consistent top 10 favorite movies that I stick with.
Okay. What do you, before we get into that, what do you think makes a movie expert? I mean, I think you and I both played baseball growing up, and I have a little bit of experience coaching Little League and high school baseball and stuff like that, but I never played the majors. But, I mean, I don't know necessarily you have to watch baseball to be a baseball movie expert, or do you?
So we're saying a movie expert or a baseball movie expert?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think I'm an expert at all. For looking at, we've talked about what makes a good critic, what makes someone an expert on baseball, or an expert on baseball movies, I should say. I mean, I'm definitely not. Part of our philosophy with the film studies class is that everybody has their favorite movies, and if it's your favorite movie, then it's valid. It's a good reason that you made it your favorite movie. We have a rule in class that you cannot bash someone else's favorite movie. The idea of a film snob is one of my least favorite things. I love the idea of any movie that someone has some kind of connection with. If that's your favorite movie, I want to know all about it. It doesn't have to be some critically acclaimed award winner to be a successful, great movie. There's a reason it connected with you, and that means it's a success.
Yeah, some of the critically acclaimed movies are like ones I really don't like to begin with. So,
but I'm very, I tend to just find something to like in almost anything I watch. It's hard for me to find a movie that I just truly don't like, because there's usually something that I'm impressed by. And you can watch a movie that is the only thing, the major sin for a movie to not be good is that if it's boring. If it bores you, then that's a failure to me. But
we'll talk about the parallels between a great baseball movie and a great book. What makes one?
As long as you're going to have an author that is setting out to do something, and if they achieve what they originally set out to do, that's all you're really looking for. If a filmmaker is trying to make an award winner Oscar movie, if they're trying to be the next Godfather or whatever, and they fall way short, then that's a failure. But if they're just trying to make Weekend at Bernie's, then I'm going to have fun watching Weekend at Bernie's, because they're going to achieve what they're after. The same thing with a book. If they want to write something that is lighthearted and fun, then as long as it's not boring, I'd say that that's a successful written book.
My son loved Weekend at Bernie's. My middle daughter hated Weekend at Bernie's. And it was the same with Raising Arizona as well. So,
right, because we watched Raising Arizona in our film studies class last year, which there is a baseball connection to that movie. We'll get to it when I get to it. But I remember their opinion was not too high on Raising Arizona. I think it was the soundtrack. Teenagers don't like yodeling, I found out.
What?
Yeah, the yodeling score just didn't do it. But I love Raising Arizona. I think it's a classic.
Do you love yodeling?
I wouldn't even say I love yodeling, but I can forgive it. I think it adds to the soundtrack. It's a perfect fit to watch Nicolas Cage running through the streets.
I enjoyed the film. I'm not going to wax poetic on it. To me, I just think some of our greatest movies, not just baseball movies, just movies overall, have great antagonists. Think of the greatest golf movie of all time, Caddyshack.
I thought you were about to talk about Shooter McGavin.
Tin Cup. Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. It's the greatest golf antagonist, I would say.
Yes.
But in Caddyshack, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Ted Knight, you're saying, is the antagonist?
Judge Smails. Yeah.
Sure.
Sort of a lovable antagonist. But yeah, I mean, just Star Wars, you have Darth Vader. Wizard of Oz, you have, the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, but have you seen Wicked? She's misunderstood.
Yeah.
So
in 1939, she was not misunderstood. She was the.
You just hadn't gotten the whole story yet.
Oh, okay.
You need to watch Wicked.
So that will be on the list at some point. Okay, so some of the movies that did not make our list that we watched, to keep the Richard Pryor connection, Brewster's Millions.
Yeah, and this goes into what I had brought up to you as far as where is the line of what makes a movie become a baseball movie. This is close to the argument as far as Christmas movies that your daughter gave her senior speech on. At what point does it become a Christmas movie? There's always arguments. Is there a diehard version of a baseball movie? Like Brewster's Millions, he's a baseball player. I know he's in his Cubs uniform a lot through the movie, but is it a baseball movie?
Well, he's playing.
Is there a baseball scene in it?
Yeah. They're playing baseball. John Candy.
Is that all it takes?
John Candy's the catcher.
Fantastic.
Richard Pryor's the pitcher. Montgomery Brewster. And they're playing for a team in Hackensack, New Jersey. And he has this long career and inherits this money. And, there's stipulations. Anyway, I thought Brewster's Millions was entertaining, but it's not going to be one of the classic baseball movies.
But this is why I went through and I was trying to make a list for myself as far as what can I even consider for my top 9 baseball movies. And that led me down just a rabbit hole of movies that just have singular baseball scenes, or just movies that include baseball culture in them. Like we're not going to include City Slickers as a baseball movie, but Billy Crystal has his Mets hat on the entire movie, and he's very connected to baseball. And when Harry Met Sally, they go to a baseball game. So at what point can a movie become a baseball movie? So clearly those are not baseball movies, but baseball is ingrained in the culture.
Well, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's like perfect example because he is trying to decide what all he's going to do with his own day. It's a very Brewster's Millions kind of thing where you have this freedom to, what do you do with it? You have this currency that you can spend, whether it's your time off on your day or you have millions that you have to spend. And Ferris and his friends end up going to a baseball game. They go to Wrigley Field.
They watch the Cubs, and you know who the Cubs are playing that day.
And he gets on TV. He catches a foul ball. And then you have Cameron's hey, batter monologue that he gives.
Batter, swing.
He can't hit.
So, but you know who the Cubs are playing that day? They're playing the Atlanta Braves.
That's right.
So
of course you would remember that.
Of course I would remember that. That's such a delightful movie to begin with anyway.
You've said that you never have seen Dazed and Confused before.
I have never seen Dazed and
Highly
Confused.
recommended, but there's even a little league moment in that game because the characters in the movie are mainly football players. And it deals with the beginning of summer. It all takes place in 24 hours on the last day of school. But a lot of the story goes through the transition from 8th grade to 9th grade. So you have some middle school characters and they all play baseball. So it's also this switch from baseball to 9th grade playing football. But there is a little league game that is fully taken seriously. There's like a final count in the pitch and there's slow motion. Like it's a well filmed game.
And we talked about one of the most popular movies of the past 10, 15 years, which I just happened to be walking by the living room and my daughter had this on. And there was a baseball scene.
Are you about to talk about vampires?
I'm about to talk about vampires.
It's on my list too. If anyone's not seen Twilight, they probably would not expect that. There's baseball in Twilight. There's a full-on baseball game in the middle of that movie. Do you know why vampires like to play baseball?
Why do vampires like to play baseball?
I guess because they can run fast, they can hit hard, but there's only certain times that vampires can play baseball. Do you know what needs to be occurring for a vampire to play baseball?
They play night baseball.
They play night baseball during a storm.
Oh,
So the sound of when they hit the ball with their bats, it sounds like thunder. So people might be alerted to, hey, that sounds like vampires playing baseball. But then someone else might just say, no, it's just thunder. So they go on with their lives. So the vampires can stay secret in their baseball playing.
so you think that was the key to that movie series, that book series, making millions and millions of dollars?
I wanted more baseball. Like if they had just, the plot of that movie had just turned to, well, they just play baseball now. They start their own league. It could have been very bingo long where they can travel and they could do their vampire tricks, and that would have been an entertaining movie.
So what I'm hearing is there potential for more Twilight movies.
Yeah,
There's also
it's an untapped market. Kristen Stewart can just join in and be on the team now.
Well,
Spoiler.
she could be an owner.
She could be.
Okay.
I want to bring up the movie, and August Wilson played Fences. Have you seen Fences?
I've not seen Fences.
Denzel Washington, Viola Davis.
Heard of it, yes.
Fantastic movie, but baseball is ingrained in the whole story of Denzel Washington's character. He's played it on the stage, and he directed and filmed and acted. Did a fantastic job. He's one of the greatest actors of all time.
I totally agree with that.
And Viola Davis is one of the greatest actresses of all time. But he is had dreams of being in the major leagues, and this is when the leagues were still segregated, so he was not able to pursue his dream of being a baseball player. But he holds on to that regret and that loss, and he takes his whole life he uses terms like, how many strikes he's had against him and what's a home run, like wins, successes, and failures are all in his mind are baseball terms. And he tries to pass it on to his son, who is trying to go into college football. But he wants his son to not follow that because he was disappointed in his dreams falling apart. So he doesn't want to have his son have his own dreams fall apart. And it just leads to this generational gap between the two. But it's a heartbreaking story. But baseball is just, there's a thread all throughout the movie of baseball.
Baseball.
Have you seen A Few Good Men?
I have seen A Few Good Men. Now, it was a long time ago. I mean, I'm very familiar with the famous scene. You can't handle the truth.
It's a very famous scene.
Yeah.
Did you order a Code Red?
See, that was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Okay. That's just what someone would say, I understand. But at the beginning of the movie, before Daniel Caffey, Tom Cruise's character, is fully invested in his client's case, he's constantly on the baseball field. Demi Moore has to go pull him off the baseball field. Technically, this is softball, so I could be reaching here, but he's working on his swing. He says he needs to practice, but he's more concerned with playing this game than the Cuba thing, as he calls it. He can't even remember his clients' names.
Oh.
But then he's got a baseball in his hand through plenty of the movie as he's thinking.
He was very sporty, Tom Cruise, because
if you watch his swing in A Few Good Men, I don't know that Tom Cruise has ever played baseball before. Go back and watch that scene where he's swinging. I think that was the first time he picked up a baseball bat.
Are you talking about the great volleyball player, Tom Cruise?
Is he a great volleyball player? That's news to me.
Isn't that the famous scene in Top Gun?
Oh yes, volleyball. I thought I was literally just going to the
beach volleyball. Yeah.
Well, that goes into some of our arguments that we make as far as sports movies in film studies class. We brought up, is Top Gun a sports movie? It's a competition.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So what other movies do you have that sort of have those baseball connections? Have
you seen Hook?
Hook.
Robin Williams, Spielberg. It's Peter Banning, as he is going by later in that movie.
So no, I was in college back in the 90s and working a lot. And I believe that was a 90s film.
I feel like most of the mid to early 90s movies, particularly kids movies, I bring up to you, you say you never saw.
No, because I was in college.
It's understandable. Hook is, it's a great movie. But the beginning of that movie is about Robin Williams being an absent father, and his son is at a little league game that Robin Williams is trying to leave work to go to. He's promised his son he'll be there. He says his word is his bond, and ends up as his son is at bat. He looks and notices that his father has sent some guy, an intern, somebody from work with a video camera just to film the game for him because he's not going to make it. And you just see the disappointment in his son's eyes. And by the time they get to Neverland, Jack, the son, has been kidnapped by Captain Hook, and he is teaching Captain Hook about baseball. He teaches all the pirates about baseball, and they have a full-on baseball game in a very pirate fashion there in Neverland.
Oh,
it's a great movie. I recommend it.
Okay.
Just for the baseball references alone.
Just for the baseball references.
They start shouting at Jack to go home, and he takes that as a reminder that he needs to leave Neverland, because you forget when you're at Neverland. He needs to go home.
He needs to go home from playing baseball?
They're telling him to run home as like hit a home run, but he also needs to escape Captain Hook. He's forgotten that he does not live with Captain Hook, that he has a life. Well, you need to see the movie to understand what I'm talking about. It may sound confusing.
Well, that's sort of the classic line from "Take Me Out to the Ballpark." Mm-hmm. Take me out of the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Mm-hmm. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I ever go back. Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were tapping into that theme.
He didn't care if he ever went back.
So, just continuing with Robin Williams, have you seen Good Will Hunting?
That's not Seize the Day, is it?
No. That's not Seize the Day.
No, I didn't see it.
That's Dead Poets Society.
Sounds like another 90s film.
He's an English teacher in Dead Poets Society. And in Good Will Hunting, he is Matt Damon's therapist, helping him deal with some of his demons. But there is a great scene throughout the first half of the movie. Robin Williams cannot get Matt Damon to take him seriously, to get on board, to open up, let him in, to have serious talks as they get through Matt Damon's traumas that he's endured over the early part of his life. But they bond over baseball. Finally, they bond over their love of Red Sox baseball as the movie takes place in Boston. But they share a story of Robin Williams had tickets to be at Game 6 of the 1975 World Series, where Carlton Fisk hit the home run that hit off of the foul pole.
Yeah. Carlton Fisk waving down the line.
Right. Tell him to go fair. And then everybody, he recreates the story. He's running around the office. It's an awesome scene. And it's why Robin Williams gets his Oscar for that movie, I think.
And then the Red Sox end up losing in Game 7 to the Reds. Mm-hmm. Tough.
They would get it later.
Yeah.
And then that'll be showed in a Jimmy Fallon, Drew Barrymore movie that I have not seen called Fever Pitch. I
have not watched it, nor is it on my radar.
Yeah. It's based off of a British novel, if I'm right, and I think it's about soccer, but they just turned it into a baseball story. It's Nick Hornsby, who wrote another great movie called High Fidelity. But yeah, I'm not too familiar with the story, so I might be completely wrong. Have you seen The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen?
I have seen The Naked Gun.
The entire
Leslie Nielsen.
Entire climax of that movie takes place at a baseball game because they have to protect Queen Elizabeth II. Going back to your Frank Sinatra talk, who was in Manchurian Candidate, in this movie, Reggie Jackson has become a Manchurian Candidate, and they have to work to protect him. And then O.J. Simpson shows up and rolls down the stairs and falls into the field. We can talk about O.J. Simpson on the CavsCast, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking about the Manchurian Candidate. You got Frank Sinatra in the original. Then you got the aforementioned Denzel Washington in the second one.
Jonathan Demme, yeah.
Both movies are favorites of mine. I really like them.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the movie Now and Then?
I have not. I have had the Candy Now and Later, though.
No, this is totally different. This is a film called Now and Then. It's a flashback movie of 4 women who have remained lifelong friends, and it flashes back for their in their current time, where you have Demi Moore, you have Melanie Griffith is in it, Rosie O'Donnell's in it, but they have their counterparts played by Christina Ricci. It has the daughter from Field of Dreams plays one of them, but it flashes back to them as girls, and there is a baseball scene right in the middle of it where Christina Ricci attempts to join a boys' baseball game going on, and they give her a hard time. Devon Sawa, who is one of the Wormer brothers that they are rivals of. They don't get along with the Wormer brothers, but he calls the outfield in because he said she's not going to hit well, so they're laughing at her. And of course, Christina Ricci belts one out, and but then gets taunted by a boy telling her to go home and play with her dolls, so she punches him in the face.
Deserve it.
Entertaining scene. High School Musical 2 has a whole baseball song right in the middle of it. I'm not going to pretend like I'm all that familiar with High School Musical 2.
Do you want to sing that song?
I don't.
Okay.
I I've only seen the first one, but I know that there is a baseball song in the middle of High School Musical too. First one deals with basketball. And they switch over to baseball. You do have just moments in movies where playing catch is a big part. We'll get to Field of Dreams later, I know. But Shawshank Redemption, Tim Robbins,
Yes.
another baseball movie connection that
Yes.
we'll get to, is playing catch with Morgan Freeman. They're in the prison yard playing catch a lot. The Great Escape, another prison movie. A great prison movie, and Steve McQueen uses a baseball to test out the parameters of the prison. How he uses it to cross over the wire, saying he needs to go chase his bat or his ball, so he can get a good look around and reconnaissance to see what's going on without drawing too much attention to him. Just baseball bats being used in movies. Have you seen Signs with Joaquin Phoenix and Mel Gibson?
A long time ago.
A baseball bat helped save the Earth from aliens. Joaquin Phoenix has to swing away, and he does.
But I've seen Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman.
And he's patrolling the hallways with a baseball bat. Back to Morgan Freeman again. Office Space.
Office Space.
They use a baseball bat to destroy a copy machine that has been bothering them all.
PC Load Letter?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Great movie. That's a top 10 movie. Back to the Future 2. Future Biff Jr. has a baseball bat that he uses as he's chasing after Marty. He yells "batter up" right before he flies past him. The movie Crooklyn, Spike Lee movie.
Okay.
The ending of that movie is a baseball bat being used to take back a street that is being overrun by some people that the main character, little girl, does not want them around. The Shining.
Yes.
There's a baseball bat in The Shining, and it's used as protection throughout. Jack Nicholson just wants Wendy to hand him the bat.
Wendy, I don't want to hurt you.
Casino.
Mm-hmm.
There are baseball bats at the end of Casino. Joe Pesci is in a baseball game that he probably does not want to be a part of.
And there's a classic film that you haven't mentioned that I believe is directed by Walter Hill, who also directed Brewster's Millions. You can fact check me on that one.
Okay, I believe you.
The Warriors.
Yes, the Warriors. You got baseball bats, you got glass bottles, and you got all kind of little props being used throughout the Warriors.
Yeah, one of the gangs was a baseball gang.
Another 24-hour movie, if I remember right, that just taken place all in one night.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie.
And great song by Joe Walsh.
And Odyssey.
In the City.
The Untouchables. There's a baseball bat in the middle of that movie, as Robert De Niro gives, who is also in one of my baseball movies that we'll get to. He uses a baseball bat as a little punctuation mark at the end of the monologue that he gives.
Kevin Costner?
Mm-mm.
What am I thinking of?
What?
The Untouchables?
Yeah, Robert De Niro.
Kevin Costner? Was he in The Untouchables or no?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, he was. Yeah,
See, that was another Kevin Costner baseball movie.
I always thought you were trying to bring it to.
No.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Inglourious Bastards. You have baseball bats being used by Eli Roth to beat up Nazis, which is a great use for a baseball bat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do we want to get into some of our movies that did not make the list?
Yeah, absolutely. And so you and I both watched a ton of baseball movies in recent weeks, and there was one that's super highly rated. It was, I believe it received 11 Academy Award nominations from 1942, and that is Pride of the Yankees.
Okay, I haven't seen this one.
Okay.
It's about Lou Gehrig, I imagine.
It's the story of Lou Gehrig's life, and Lou Gehrig passed away 1 year earlier. And this is a film that actually has Babe Ruth in it. And it's
as an actor.
It's Lou Gehrig.
Did he act well?
Yeah, it was okay. Lou Gehrig is portrayed by Gary Cooper. And really great film. I believe Gary Cooper got a nod, like an Academy Award nod for that.
High Noon. Great Gary Cooper movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of our classic actors of all time. But just it does a great job of just telling his story, how he grew up. And his mother didn't want him to play baseball, and he went to Columbia University. And played baseball, and then the Yankees sort of pluck him from Columbia, and all of a sudden he's playing for the 27 Yankees with Babe Ruth, and I believe he played on 2 World Series teams. But it talks about his Iron Man streak. Makes a big deal about him reaching his 2000th consecutive game, and how he was his body was sort of faltering him. He had ALS, which no one really knew about, and so sort of drew awareness to that. So, great film. It's not in my top 9 or 10, but it's a great baseball movie.
Another great film that just didn't make my top 9 is the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson.
That is on my list, so let's hold off on that and talk about that later.
That's the deal. And I think another one on your list is Field of Dreams that did not make my list.
That is also on my list, and we'll talk about that.
We haven't talked about how people are defensive of their favorite movies. I'm sure some people might be offended that I don't include Field of Dreams in their movies.
A lot of people rank it number 1.
Movie lists are meant to get people enraged. That's why they get posted online, is to get people commenting, because people are going to be, why didn't you include my list? So I apologize in advance if I crush anybody's favorite movies. I like the movie. I just don't love it.
But if it's your opinion, do you really need to apologize?
I know and I appreciate and I respect the passion people have for their movies. Of course, I'm going to love the idea that that Field of Dreams is their favorite movie. So I want to say I don't think it's a bad movie at all. If I'm not including it, it just isn't the one that I go to.
So does that mean The Slugger's Wife is in your top 9 or 10?
I hate that movie.
Oh no,
it was bad. You made me watch this movie and you told me it was good.
I did make you watch that movie.
You made me and my wife watch this movie. I think she was more angry than I was.
No, I did not make you. I just sort of suggested it.
You said this is a good movie. I saw it in the theater and I enjoyed it a whole lot. And there's a great cover of Little Red Corvette in it. And I just had my hopes way up. It had Rebecca De Mornay before Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Right? I thought, okay, this has got an all-star cast.
In my defense, I saw it when I was 11 years old in the theater. It's one of those movies which I probably saw it by myself. I don't know why my parents just let me watch these movies.
When you say by yourself, do you mean there was no one else in the theater? Because everyone was like, there's no way I'm watching that movie.
I think so, because it made less than $2 million. So a lot of people have not seen this movie, so they're going to say, Slugger's Wife, what is that?
But I think I know what drew you to it and why it just stuck in your head.
Yeah, it's an Atlanta Braves movie.
He's on the Atlanta Braves.
The Braves were
in the 80s.
The Braves were good in 82, 83, and after they traded Brett Butler, they started to go downhill. And but yeah, being a young Atlanta Braves fan, you've got Michael O'Keefe, Danny Noonan, and Caddyshack. Now he's gone from being a golfer to now he's a baseball player.
This is your Caddyshack fan fiction.
I'm not going to go into that, but You've
told me this before.
I have. I said that it was the sequel. It's a better sequel to Caddyshack than Caddyshack 2, which do not ever watch Caddyshack 2. But the Rebecca De Mornay version of Little Red Corvette, in my mind, was way better than when I saw it the second time around.
We were appalled by some of the things in this movie. When I say we, my wife and I, Mrs. Jennifer Mims, but the main character was not a likable guy, and he's just outright assaulting this poor woman and following her in the parking lots for a date, and it's just not the way I go about it. He wrecks her car in order to create a little meet cute with her, like hits her in the parking lot with his car. It's played for laughs. And that's just not encouraging behavior.
It was not a very funny movie, though. It was a Neil Simon film, and I don't know where the laughs were. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So I still have a couple movies, and one of them I really, really enjoyed. I believe it came out last year, and it was filmed in Augusta. It's The Hill.
Yeah, you told me about this. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
With Dennis Quaid, I believe. He was a preacher and wouldn't let his son play baseball, and wanted his son to sort of forge a new path. And his son really wanted to play baseball. Mm-hmm. And he had talent, and he's really good at what he did. Anyway, I don't want to give too much away about it. I encourage everybody to watch it. I think it's the only true baseball movie on Netflix.
Okay.
So, The Hill. Check it out.
Okay. Going off of Dennis Quaid, I did not include The Rookie. which is a good baseball movie. When I told my brother I was doing this podcast. He is also a big movie fan along with me. His first response was The Rookie. It's also a true story, I believe. Aging high school baseball coach, I believe. He's a science teacher, and he never got a chance to make it to the majors. And he learns that his arm is still major league ready, and he gets a chance to go and play a few seasons in the major league.
So you think we can get James Mason to try out for the Braves or the Green Jackets?
I think it has to happen.
Yeah,
I think there's them after this.
a story that should unfold from there. Yeah, The Rookie. I've never seen The Rookie. Probably need to add that to my list. It came out in 2002. It is the fourth highest grossing baseball movie of all time.
I believe it. It's a Disney movie.
So
Disney has a string of sports movies that they've got. You got Miracle, Remembering the Titans,
Miracle, greatest hockey movie.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is Disney's baseball movie.
Yeah, I thought your boy should have won or at least been nominated for Best Actor.
Kurt Russell
For Miracle. Yeah.
He's one of the greatest movie stars alive.
I thought he didn't get enough credit. He was outstanding in his role as the Team USA hockey coach.
Agreed.
This is one of those movies that I will go back to and watch again and again.
And that's a successful movie.
So
rewatchability.
One of my movies that did not make the top was 8 Men Out, and I don't know if that's on your list.
Is not.
Okay, so we can go into that. Okay, so 8 Men Out is a story about the 1919 Chicago White Sox, or it was referred to as the Black Sox scandal. And there are a ton of great actors. John Cusack, Christopher Lloyd.
Charlie Sheen.
Christopher
Lloyd is also in a movie that I'll talk about in a minute.
Okay. It's a story of Shoeless Joe Jackson, sort of, hey, I was there, I was in it, but I didn't,
Say it ain't so, Joe.
I wasn't tanking for the White Sox, but he still got kicked out of baseball by Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis. And anyway, it sort of, a lot of baseball goes into the sort of courtroom scenes, and I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll rewatch it anytime soon. I probably will, but I think it's a great film. It's just not in my top 9 or 10.
Understandable. Have you seen Angels in the Outfield?
Which one?
The Christopher Lloyd one. I've never seen the original one.
I haven't seen either one, so I just thought of that.
I think I know why. This is one of those mid-90s children's movies that I watched. I saw this movie at a friend's birthday party. We went to the theater, and it was, I liked it a lot. I rewatched it. Is not as good as I remember it. It did not make my end. But I mean, I liked it a lot when I was younger. I watched it. I was a little boy when I watched it, and these baseball movies were just perfect for a little boy watching the movie.
There seem to be a lot of sort of kids baseball movies in the 90s.
There are a lot, and some I think hold up, and they have made my list. Angels in the Outfield did not make my list, and I'll go ahead and throw out Rookie of the Year did not make my list. Have you seen Rookie of the Year?
No, and I've never had any ambition to watch Rookie of the Year.
I think that it does hold up a little bit, and partly because of Daniel Stern. He directed it. Yeah. And he co-stars in it, supporting role. And he does a great job in it. He's very funny. But if you don't know what Rookie of the Year is about, it's about a kid. He's in the American Pie movies. I don't think he's in anything else, but he's not the greatest actor. But he falls and breaks his arm one day, slipping on a baseball. And when his arm heals, the tendons in his arm are tighter than normal. So his arm becomes a slingshot, and he's able to just throw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he goes and joins the major leagues with Mick Nolte as his manager.
So
Gary Busey. I'm sorry, Gary Busey as his manager.
So you know why I didn't watch it? It came out in 1993.
Right. So it's another one of those children's 90s baseball movies that you missed out on. But I think you should go back and watch Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I saw Rookie of the Year in the theater. My mom took me to go see Rookie of the Year. We saw lots of baseball movies together, these children's baseball movies together in the 90s, and that was our thing that we did. And I have a memory of seeing Rookie of the Year. I loved it, but then when we got home, my mom came home and she was just talking about how great it was and retold the whole story to whoever was in the house. We saw that. We saw Little Big League on my birthday, I remember. I'll talk about that later, though. But just the idea that these these kids movies as a kid, seeing my mom be excited about it just made it that much better for me.
Me being in college, I still saw some movies. I just didn't see a ton of movies in the 90s.
You didn't go watch children's movies in college. It's understandable.
Somehow I saw The Sandlot, though. So, and that will be mentioned later.
We'll have to talk about that later.
So,
do you have another one to make it?
No, I think that's.
I got a few I'll mention real quick. One that is a big one that I feel like we need to mention is the Bad News Bears.
No, I've got that on my list.
Do you? Okay.
That is on my list.
That didn't make my list.
Oh, no.
But although I do love it, Walter Matthau is awesome in it.
Buttermaker?
Buttermaker is it's a classic movie for a reason. It really, I think that there would not be all of these 90s children's baseball movies that I loved as a kid if the Bad News Bears had never been made. So it definitely has its importance, but it just doesn't stick with me anymore. I don't think I've it hasn't attached to me as a kid watching it. It might just be the time gap between the release and it coming out.
I think playing youth baseball and then coaching youth baseball, so seeing youth baseball from two different angles, it sort of resonates with me.
I believe that.
And also coaching Augusta Prep baseball. I thought about getting a Chico's bail bonds shirt just to wear to practice. We'll get into that a little later.
Also, real quick throw out is the movie Everybody Wants Some, Richard Linklater movie who directed Dazed and Confused. It's a Van Halen song, and it's got both exclamation marks in place for the title. And it's about a college baseball team in the off season as they prepare. So I wouldn't include it. If there were more baseball in it, it probably would have made my list because it's absolutely fantastic. It has Glenn Powell in it before he was chasing twisters and joining Top Gun sequels, but he's hilarious in it. It's a great cast. And it just shows them just hanging out. It's a great hangout movie. It has Kurt Russell's son in it to kind of keep that thread going.
Yeah.
But Everybody Wants Some. Great movie. Stealing Home, if you've seen that, with Jodie Foster.
Okay. I have not watched it.
Mark Harmon.
Mm-hmm. He was in the greatest movie about summer school. Yeah. It's called Summer School.
Mm-hmm. With a character named Chainsaw, which our head of school has a nickname.
We have a chainsaw here on campus.
But a great movie. It's a sad movie at times, but there are some baseball moments in there for sure. So after that, I've just got my list.
So
do you need to jump into it?
We really haven't gone into documentaries and stuff, and then you can sort of like splinter off. But should
we go episode by episode of Ken Burns' baseball documentary?
We're not going to go any of that. But no, there was a TV series. I actually watched this. I remember watching this when it came out on ESPN called The Bronx is Burning. And just a fantastic movie, just sort of recreating what it was like in New York City back in the 70s. And you had John Turturro portraying Billy Martin.
Okay.
Very volatile at times manager. And you got Reggie Jackson, you got George Steinbrenner, and so you got the three of them sort of butting heads at times.
Steinbrenner's in one of my top 9 baseball movies.
Oh, yes. Okay. So where do we go? We want to go to your number 10? Let's go.
Well, we mentioned it. My number 9 has 2 spots in it that I left for a designated hitter. So one of them is the Bingo Long Traveling All Stars.
Okay.
And then I would say when I'm not ready to take my pitcher out of the game, pre-designated hitter, National League Baseball rules, I would have The Scout, starring Brendan Fraser and Albert Brooks.
Steve Nebraska.
What a great baseball name. This is one of those 90s movies. Wouldn't say it's a kid's movie, though. I love The Scout. There's lots of baseball in it. It's about Albert Brooks as a baseball scout he needs to kind of redeem himself because his past few recruits have not panned out. He's getting them too young and they get nervous and they're not really able to play for the big leagues or the show, as Kevin Costner would call it, and Bull Durham. But he finds Brendan Fraser playing in some little local leagues and brings him to play for the Yankees. Steinbrenner's there, very excited to get Brendan Fraser playing. As the movie goes on, you find out that Brendan Fraser has some anxiety about playing baseball, even though he is almost superhuman level, rookie of the year level speed of his pitching abilities, and he can also hit any swing he gives a home run. So it's definitely unrealistic as far as just how great a player he is. They compare him to King Kong a lot, and it does have that running theme of the idea of taking someone who is not an outsider and bringing them into an uncomfortable fish out of water place, who they can't quite find a place in. But I like it. As a kid watching The Scout, it was so interesting to see how they don't shy away from the mental health aspect of it, where Diane Wiest, Oscar winner, Diane Wiest plays his therapist.
The Footloose mom.
Mm-hmm, the Footloose mom. Brendan Fraser, also an Oscar winner. So this movie's packed to the gills with Oscar winners. The acting. And she uncovers that he's got some trauma in his past that is causing him to, when he gets on the mound, he has a panic attack. But it causes frustration with the team. But then Albert Brooks, as a father figure in this movie, tells him towards the end of this movie, like, basically, it's okay. You don't have to play. And it just alleviates all of the stress and anxiety from Brendan Fraser. And it's a great movie, especially watching it as a kid, just to hear him have the realization. He asked Albert Brooks, if I did go out there, what's the worst thing that could happen? And Albert Brooks says, you'd lose. And that the light bulb goes off in Brendan Fraser's head. And he's like, well, that's not so bad, because half those guys out there lose all the time. And just puts everything into perspective for him. But it doesn't diminish what all he is dealing with in his head. And it's a great movie.
I wasn't as high on it.
I know you rated it kind of low, but
I did.
We can't take that personally, so I'll let it go.
I mean, he had probably the greatest fastball of anybody mentioned, and he pitched a perfect game in Game 1 of the World Series, I believe. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
On 81 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was after Albert Brooks gave him his little pep talk. He was ready to go after that.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway. Okay, so my number 10 movie is Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Okay.
And like we said earlier with Bingo Long, it's just one of those films that just puts a smile on your face. It's,
sure.
You know, it's a musical, great double play combo of Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the song is O'Brien to Ryan to Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Esther Williams in it. It's a couple years before Singing in the Rain, and Gene Kelly is just Gene Kelly actually looks like a baseball player. He looks like he could go out there and play.
He's someone that you just see him on screen and you're like, of course you're a movie star. He has like a perfect screen voice. We just watched Singing in the Rain recently for film studies, and that just reminded me of just some people are just, of course you're going to be an actor. Why would you not?
So looking at just watching the movie, you look at Frank Sinatra, and Frank Sinatra's like very tiny in the movie.
Okay.
And I love Frank Sinatra, but it's just, you look at Gene Kelly and you go, okay, Gene Kelly actually looks like a baseball player. Frank Sinatra, But anyway, I thought it was a very delightful movie. So let's see.
Number 10. That was your.
That was my number 10.
So who you got in number 9?
Oh, you're gonna love this.
What we got?
Field of Dreams.
Now, Kevin Costner we're talking about someone who, of course, they're a movie star. With Kevin Costner, I'd say that. And I also would say, of course, you're going to be in baseball movies. Like, Kevin Costner just has a very baseball aspect to him. Like, he looks like a baseball player. I think what holds me back from Field of Dreams is just how easily everybody goes along with what he's telling them. His wife she's very sweet and supportive of her husband, but he's telling her that he's hearing these voices coming from the cornfield, and she's just like, oh, okay. I can't buy into that. And
why don't you go get checked for that?
As you know, as a English teacher, of course, I'm on board with magical realism as a genre, but Field of Dreams just never grabbed me as far as putting that into baseball. It has its emotional moments, of course, where back to the White Sox scandal. So Shoeless Joe Jackson is a character in this movie.
Yes.
He comes back from the dead, played by Ray Liotta, and gets to redeem himself. A lot of this movie deals with redemption, and that's what James Earl Jones's character as an author. I do like the scene where Costner's wife is at a school function arguing against banned books. As an English teacher, of course, I don't want to ban any books. And it was James Earl Jones's character who has one of his books, Terrence Mann, one of his books is on the chopping block. And she argues to keep it on there. And then Kevin Costner realizes he needs to help redeem James Earl Jones's character. So he brings him into the mix. And then it ends with the father-son moment. What
I
What do you like about Field of Dreams?
well, I like the idea of Field of Dreams. I like that, Kevin Costner. When you think baseball or baseball movies, you got to think Kevin Costner. He's a great actor. And I like that in 2021, Major League Baseball incorporated this Field of Dreams game in Iowa,
Right.
which has the cornfields and everything. I don't know if there's another movie that could sort of capture that sort of magic. Well, there is one, but but it's not really the movie; it's more the person. But
We'll get to that.
yeah, it's just to me, it's a ghost story a little bit, and when I believe it was Shoeless Joe Jackson, Ray Liotta asked, "Is this heaven?" And Kevin Costner goes, "No, this is Iowa." I'm waiting on that rim shot to, some people are going to come. They're going to come to the Masters tournament in Augusta, and they're going to just be enamored.
Oh, yeah.
Is this heaven? No, it's Washington Road.
It's a very romantic look at baseball, and I can definitely appreciate it. He has the moment of playing catch with his dad at the end that I think resonates with a lot of people. But it's a matter of he and his father had a hard time connecting, and they never got to play catch. So it's that redemption of one last chance. I played catch with my dad all the time. We were in the driveway. My dad was a catcher in high school, and I liked pitching, so we would do that quite a lot. So maybe it just isn't.
Did your dad say, "Hey, you want to go have a catch"?
The phrasing is odd, isn't it?
I don't like
I've
that.
never heard that in person ever. It's only in that movie.
The grammar. It was the book was written by W.P. Kinsella, who's Canadian, and I'm wondering if that's sort of Canadian
I would want to know.
vernacular.
Maybe I never have looked into that. But yeah, I've never heard that in person. You say, "Do you want to play catch or just throw the ball back?"
I've thrown the ball with my son a ton through the years. Hey, son, you want to go have a catch? No, we've never said that.
I would turn you down if you asked me to have a catch. Like, what are you even talking about?
I don't. As an English teacher, just me, all the English courses I took in college, it just drives me nuts. As an English teacher who does this on a daily basis, I'm assuming it has to drive you nuts too, hearing that phrase.
That might be why it's not in my top 9.
Okay.
The grammar.
Okay.
It was too much.
Too much. All right. Well, let's move on. Number 8. What's your number 8?
For me is a Robert De Niro movie, as I mentioned earlier, with Wesley Snipes, called The Fan.
Yes.
This is a Tony Scott movie.
Another 90s movie. Okay, yes.
Missed it.
I missed it.
This is more in the kind of thriller genre. It's about obsessive fandom. It is about Robert De Niro as a baseball fanatic who he calls into the sports radio shows and argues with the radio announcers, and they're talking stats, and he's talking what's best for the team. And the movie centers around Wesley Snipes plays Bobby Rayburn, and he's being traded at the beginning of the movie from the Atlanta Braves to the San Francisco Giants. He is a star baseball player.
That was a terrible trade, by the way.
90s. But it comes down to the celebrity fandom and how it can get out of hand for stalkers and how obsessive people can get over their favorite thing, their his favorite sport and what he knows best. He's an expert, and slowly you just see Robert De Niro's character slowly just become detached from reality, and it becomes kind of scary by the end of it. But I love it. I ended up seeing this movie with my brother in the theater because we had bought tickets to see a Kurt Russell sequel, Escape from LA. And in the middle of the movie, the film reel starts to bubble and smoke and catches a flame, and all the lights come on in the theater, and the theater owner comes out and says, apologizes, sorry, and says the following movies are starting now. You can use your money, your ticket, and go into that. And we walked over to The Fan.
Well,
and The Fan was way better than Escape from LA, which I finally saw in full later. And I didn't miss anything by that film burning up.
was it better than Escape from New York?
Not at all. Escape from New York is great.
Yes.
Not Escape from LA.
Well, it's funny you're talking about sports and stalking, and I immediately went to tennis because I believe it was Martina Hingis back, 25, 30 years ago, who dealt with her own stalking incident. So, yeah, it can happen.
It's a great movie. It's Tony Scott. If you like Top Gun, just bring back to that. And Man on Fire, more Denzel movies, but the fan has Robert De Niro, another Oscar winner that I've got on my list, and Benicio del Toro, who is a current Giants player who has Bobby Ray Burns' lucky number 11 that he had on the Braves, and he wants to have that number back, and it becomes a major plot point. So it goes into superstitions in baseball as well. So interesting, and there's lots of baseball play in the movie too.
Well, I'll have to check
Recommended.
it. We'll have to check it out then. So my number 8 is sort of like my number 9. It's way lower than a lot of people have it, and some people have this as their number 1. So a lot of people have Field of Dreams as their number 1. My number 8 is Bull Durham.
I have that as the higher up. We'll get to it.
Okay,
so let's hold
on to this conversation. All right, so what's your number 7?
I have a children's 90s baseball movie as my number 7.
It sounds like we're gonna have to hold off on this one.
Oh no, I don't think we are. This is Little Big League.
Okay.
I was about to say, I know that you don't have this on your list.
No, I do not have this on my list.
Based on my recommendation,
yes,
Light the Scout, and you treated it like I asked you to watch The Slugger's Wife or something.
Well, you know why? Because it features the Minnesota Twins.
Just was not the right timing in the 90s.
I still haven't recovered from the 1991 World Series when the Braves lost in Game 7 in extra innings to the Minnesota Twins. So no.
Was that my years are off? Which year was the Braves win in the playoffs against the Pirates? Was that to get to that World Series?
No, that was
next year.
That
I'm bad with my stats and
that's okay.
baseball facts.
That's okay. I lived this, so I remember.
It blurs. I was a little boy when this happened. So
ironically, the Braves. I'm sure no one in Pittsburgh wants to hear about the Braves, but the Braves beat the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1991 and 1992 in Game 7 both years.
Sid Bream rounding third wasn't 91.
That was 92.
Okay.
That was
Francisco Cabrera pinch hitting.
I was in college.
I was on my grandmother's living room floor watching with my whole family around me, and I knew it was a big deal. But when they all started flipping out when Cabrera hit that base hit, and I just that was what got me to be Braves fan, was that moment. And I was
a lot of room in right center. If he hits one there, we can dance in the streets. Yeah, the Braves are down a run, bases loaded. Cabrera, rarely used pinch hitter, comes up, and just talk about a movie moment.
Braves win.
It was almost like Major League, yeah. Mm-hmm. First run scores to tie it up, and then Bream comes around. You got how should we say this? A younger, lighter Barry Bonds in left field, throwing it to the plate.
It was close.
The throw was off. The catcher, Mike Lavalier.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I got that right.
Look at you.
Tries to swipe tag Bream, sliding into home plate. He is safe. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. And the Braves went to the World Series and lost to the Toronto Blue Jays. So
that's right. Joe Carter. Mm-hmm.
It was tough. But continue on about Little Big League.
It is, as far as a baseball movie centered around kids, this is like any young baseball fan's dream, where he gets to run the team. It sets itself up. It's like Rookie of the Year. It is a young kid joining into the major leagues, but it does treat it in a more as realistic as we want to say realistic fashion. But his grandfather owns the Twins. Jason Robards, another Academy Award winner in one of my picks, just saying.
Yeah.
And he passes away, and in his will, he leaves the team to Billy Haywood. And as the movie goes on, he's looking after the team, and then the manager of the team, played by Dennis Farina.
Yes.
Great actor. Brought in, he was a former cop, and gets brought in as a consultant, and just discovered to be why don't you just be in the movie instead of teaching the actors how to be cops? Same thing happened with Full Metal Jacket as well, the drill instructor. But he fires Dennis Farina, Billy Haywood, and makes himself the manager. And now you have a 12-year-old-ish boy is now the manager in the dugout with the team, pulling out pitchers, putting in relievers, calling pinch hitters. Like, he could have had his own Cabrera moment if he wanted to. But it's great on just a love of baseball, and it has a great soundtrack. It features one of my favorite baseball moments that I wish, as we were watching all these movies, I had counted how many times these movies include the double play shot of shortstop, catches a grounder, flips his glove up without even reaching for the ball in the air. Second baseman snatches the ball out of the air with his bare hands and throws it to first in slow motion. It's always a great baseball shot in any movie.
The old 6-4-3 double play. Yeah. And Ken Griffey Jr. broke their hearts then in the movie.
And that, as a kid watching Ken Griffey Jr. walk out in the movie, and who he faces on the mound at the end is who the Twins are facing on the mound on the Mariners side is Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, yes.
The birds died in the making of this movie, but he looks very intimidating. I
don't think my wife appreciated this, but back around 2000, 2001, I took her to watch the Arizona Diamondbacks versus the Atlanta Braves, and it was Randy Johnson versus Tom Glavine on the mound.
Oh, wow.
And the Braves got the better of the Diamondbacks. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so my number 7, which might be higher up for you, is Moneyball.
It is higher up for me.
Okay, well,
we'll hold off.
We'll hold off on that. All right. So your number 6.
We may have to hold off because my number 6 is The Natural. Now you've got that higher.
Yes, we're definitely going to hold off on that one. So my number 6, I believe we can talk about, is what I think is one of the most inspirational baseball movies of all time. And it's a wonderful story based on a true life story, and it's 42.
Agreed. Great movie. Didn't make my 9. You tell me what you love about this movie.
I think Chadwick Boseman he became Jackie Robinson in the movie. You weren't as high on the performance by Harrison Ford as Branch Rickey.
I just like Harrison Ford to be Harrison Ford. I don't like when he's playing too much of a character. Like, he is Han Solo. He is Indiana Jones. I think he's best when he's just playing natural. So he did a fine job, but the voice, it just throws me as he's playing Branch Rickey.
So I think the thing that I really liked about 42 was not just Jackie Robinson, and goodness, he had to overcome a lot of adversity. I mean, he wasn't the first black baseball player. That actually happened 50 years earlier.
I know this because of Little Big League, because it's a trivia question they ask in Little Big League. I forget the answer, though.
Moses Fleetwood Walker, I believe, is the correct answer. And as the story goes, he was run out of baseball by Cap Anson. And so it wasn't until the late 40s that baseball got integrated. And it was Jackie Robinson who was the first player. I know that could not have been easy. But one of the things I liked about the movie was you saw his wife, Rachel Robinson, in the stands. So we think about Jackie Robinson and all he had to endure. But think about his wife and all she had to endure as well.
It does a good job depicting all of that.
Yeah, and there's a classic quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes. And it was from...
Is this the Pee Wee Reese line?
It is Pee Wee Reese. And he goes, maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42 so nobody could tell us apart. And so baseball has incorporated that. And we have Jackie Robinson Day.
It's coming up soon, right?
Coming up in April? It's coming up this baseball season. So I don't know the exact date. But yes, there is a Jackie Robinson Day. Well-deserved Jackie Robinson Day. And the number 42 is retired by every
team.
Major League Baseball team.
Only number that's fully retired.
Yeah. So
great movie. Yeah, it's well made. There are things like that I may not have put it in my 9 over little things that I put out, but I mean, most of my 9 are movies that I am going to want to rewatch. Historical movies, biopics don't tend to be movies that I like rewatch. I get to where I'd rather just read a book about it. That's also probably why I didn't like 8 Men Out as much. Like, I'd rather just read about the White Sox scandal. Instead of trying to recreate it as much as possible. Biopics, I like watching them one time to see how the actor, like seeing Timothy Chalamet play Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. Yes, he does a great job and sounds just like him when he's singing. I don't know if I'm going to just put it on all the time. 42. Great movie. It's an important movie. Everyone should watch it.
Great movie. I think every baseball player, and when I say baseball player, I mean like young youth baseball player. That's one of those movies you got to watch.
Alan, I always say his last name wrong. Alan Tudyk. He plays the manager who was taunting Jackie Robinson from the dugout.
Oh yeah,
throughout
Philadelphia, right?
I think it's the Phillies manager, and he is it's enraging watching it. Like just to see what Jackie Robinson endured and some of the things that were allowed to be done. even though he was fired the following season. But just seeing what all went through, stuff I didn't know. I learned a lot as far as how
I'm sure what he endured.
how hard it was.
I'm sure what he endured in real life wasn't half of what we saw,
Right.
or a third of what we saw in the movies. So that's what, yeah,
That little bit was enough to just blow your mind.
absolutely.
Awful.
Okay, so let's go to number 5.
My number 5 is Major League, another Charlie Sheen movie.
Man, we're gonna have to hold off on that one because I've got that
Fair
one.
enough.
I've got that one higher.
It can't be much farther.
But we can talk about my number 5, which you do not have on your list.
What's that?
The Bad News Bears.
Okay. I thought a little bit about it. What do you love about Bad News Bears? You just relate as a coach?
It's, you know, we talk about baseball, and here's the thing about sports. Better players make better coaches. So I think that, you know, you're not going to be a good coach if you don't have good players. You could be the greatest coach in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You could just name the greatest manager in Major League Baseball today. And if he doesn't have, you know, any decent players, he's not going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of enjoyed that about the Bad News Bears because they weren't very good. And then
They were bad news.
well,
These kids are bad.
they were. Well, Buttermaker, he finds his pitcher in Amanda, Tatum O'Neal.
Tatum O'Neal is the best part of the movie, I would say. That was her like energy that she brings to it halfway through is what is more entertaining to me once she joins the team.
And it's a sort of a father-daughter-ish type relationship. I mean, she wants him to be that father, and he sort of resists, and it's sort of heartbreaking, really, if you think about it. And so it's as Walter Matthau, Buttermaker, is managing, it's almost like the antagonist is the system. It's the people who don't want them there because, like, you know, they're not really a baseball team. It's like a ragtag baseball team.
You're rooting for them to play when they're playing that rival team by the end.
Yeah.
Are we giving spoilers in this? I don't know that we want to talk about the ending of Bad News Bears, but it is one thing I do like about Bad News Bears is how it ends, because it ends very similar to Little Big League.
Well,
Where
it's
sometimes the protagonist team doesn't win, and I think that's a good thing to have in your movie.
you can take this trophy and leave. But
They were bad news.
well, yes, it was. They had fighting spirit, and
Walter Matthau, like the scene where he's getting frustrated with them in the dugout in that game when he's yelling at them saying, "Don't you guys want this?" He's giving them almost like a Bull Durham, like scolding of you're lollygagging. But he starts yelling at these kids and they're just staring at him, and he just pauses and gets a look at their faces and sees that he's now taking this too seriously instead of letting them have fun.
Yeah.
And he starts to tear up. And that's one of the best moments of the movie to me is Walter Matthau realizing, all right, I got to calm down a little bit.
yeah, and you know, obviously one of the best characters in the movie is Kelly Leak, sort of that outlaw, the kid who
The motorcycle kid.
nobody wants him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best athlete around. Nobody wants him
hanging around.
because he's, you know, trying to sneak a cigarette smoke and trying to ride his motorcycle around.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a good fit for the Bears. And, you know, I think it's fantastic. The scene where Buttermaker tells him, hey, you catch every ball. Don't let, this is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other players are like, hey, man, what's going on? We're a team. And anyway, so he sort of gets ostracized for doing that. But anyway, I really enjoy the Bad News Bears. And it's one of those films that I will watch if it's on or if I know it's coming on. So really enjoyed Bad News Bears. So that's my number 5. So that must bring us up to your number 4.
Well, now this is when we can talk about Moneyball.
Yes. Okay. Moneyball's my number 7.
Okay. Which means that it's not like you don't like Moneyball. You
I
just
loved
got
Moneyball.
It's just we're getting into the competitive part of it. So it's like any of these movies are all great in their own ways. This is one of the few, like, I don't see it as much of a biopic. So it is a true story. It is based on a real person.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's so much about Billy Bean, which like Steve Nebraska fashion, that is a great baseball name. I love alliterative names.
Yeah.
Peter Parker, it just fits. So Billy Bean as his own kind of redemption story as he takes the Oakland A's to a winning streak.
Well, and he's also having to fight the system.
It's an established way of picking baseball teams and all based financially. He says there are rich teams and there are poor teams. I can't say the rest of the quote, but further down, he says, then at the bottom is us.
Yeah. And the Oakland A's have historic. Now, back in the 70s, the A's were a great World Series champion team. And when they had the Bash brothers back in the late 80s, they won the World Series again. Mm-hmm. I believe they beat the Giants. I think they went to the World Series 3 years in a row, maybe.
Okay.
They beat the Giants in forget the name of the series, but I think it was like the Bay Series or something along those lines. And lost to the Reds in 1990. And that was the end of that. But yeah, he has to find a way to compete. Everybody wants to compete, no matter whatever your team budget is, whether it's number 1 or number 30.
They're almost like a farm team. They get good players and give them a chance to establish themselves, and then a richer team buys them from them. So it starts off with, is it Johnny Damon? Johnny Damon first, and they're
Jason Giambi.
Giambi leaves, so they have to figure out how can we possibly compete if we don't have the money to buy good players. And enter Jonah Hill with a great idea, a different way of looking at things. I think that's part of why this movie is successful is because of Jonah Hill. He a lightheartedness to it's a movie about math. It's about stats.
Yeah, it's very nerdy.
Metrics. So he has a different way of looking at players by just looking at how often they get on base, not in some of the other factors that may have turned away scouts from bringing in a player.
So when I was in 3rd grade at our book fair in elementary school, I bought a book called Baseball Stats back in the 80s, and it was like
sounds like something you would do.
Yeah, of course. And how do you calculate ERA? How do you calculate batting average?
Well,
and then
Richard Pryor in Bingo Long All Stars he's trying to figure out how to calculate his ERA.
He was not good with math, kind of like you. So I read Moneyball when it came out. And so baseball stats these days are just, XFIP and WAR. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. WAR, not a big fan of the WAR stat. But yeah, there's offensive WAR, there's defensive WAR. And so the book, after I read the book and I heard the movie was coming out, I was like, how are they going to make a movie that's going to be entertaining? Because this seems very process driven. But
you need Aaron Sorkin to write your script, which he does for Moneyball, who also wrote the script for A Few Good Men. Mm-hmm. But he makes it, he finds the entertainment value in these arguments of Brad Pitt as Billy Bean with Jonah Hill, with Philip Seymour Hoffman as the manager, as they decide what are the right ways to go about this.
But how about a young Chris Pratt?
Right.
Yes.
It's a similar kind of deal with the scout, where he's like a young player that they're bringing in. They don't know, is he going to fit with this team? And they have to convince him his confidence as far as other teams don't want you, but we want you for a reason. We have a new way we see value in you where others don't. And that's what this movie is really about, seeing values in players that may not have been there. You get a former Atlanta Brave gets to get some talk in this movie.
David Justice.
David Justice comes back after he had his heyday, and it had passed him, and the A's saw some value in him still.
And they wanted him to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's funny. I saw this movie as a father-daughter movie.
Right.
Made me think of Ben His Bears a little bit, except this was a true father-daughter movie. And so
her playing guitar for him, it's a great scene.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it sort of hits the heartstrings. And when he got that big money offer after the season to go to the Red Sox to help try to turn them around, he turns it down, and I believe that she was the main reason he wanted to be close to her. So yeah, I mean, he did great things for the Oakland A's through the years, and
but having Pete, played by Jonah Hill in the movie, once he starts joining in on the team meetings and they're a little resistant to him, the scene with Brad Pitt where he's having to explain to them, that's Pete, he needs to be here. I'm going to point at Pete. Anytime he points at Pete, he needs to give some numbers. It's just a great dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, and it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, as it should have been.
As it should, yes.
So, okay, so that's your number 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my number 4. Curious to know where this is on your list. A League of Their Own.
We're going to have to wait.
Oh my goodness, it's higher up. I love A League of Their Own, and that's perfectly fine. I'm glad you have them up high. Okay, let's move on to your number 3 then.
This is where we can talk about Bull Durham.
Okay.
It's as far as a genre of movies, it's a baseball movie, but it's also a screwball comedy.
Yeah.
Which is taken out of the baseball term of a screwball, but it is going back to, we would call them romantic comedies now, of the will they won't they, kind of hate each other at first before they fall in love movies. But in the 30s and 40s, and we're talking like Bring That Baby, The Philadelphia Story,
Cary Grant.
the screwball aspect of a screwball breaks the opposite direction than you would expect.
Yes.
This is, in the 30s and 40s, it was the idea of the female lead not acting like the typical female lead in a romance where she is challenging the male character. He's got some growing up to do. They may hate each other at first over their disagreements and fighting, and slowly they do have the romantic comedy aspect to it. This is with Susan Sarandon playing that kind of challenging romantic interest that Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins are fighting over. It's a competition in baseball fashion of trying to win, with some some fun baseball hijinks mixed in with it. And I think it is it's got Kevin Costner, who waxes poetic about baseball. There's some great lines all throughout this movie. It has Trey Wilson, who is the manager of the Durham Bulls, and he was the father in Raising Arizona. His name was Arizona, and he has the great line about what the baby was wearing that was kidnapped in Raising Arizona. And he was wearing pajamas with Yodas on him. As a Star Wars fan, I love that.
Was the baby a lollygagger?
Well, he would not have had any kind of tolerance for something like that because he does not like lollygaggers. Robert Wool gets that line as getting to throw out lollygaggers. Trey Wilson gets to set him up for it, and it is one of the best scenes in the movie, and it's one of those baseball lines that is now famous, and I'm sure it gets quoted a lot in baseball clubs throughout. But yeah, he gets onto them for lollygagging in and off the field, lollygagging into the dugout. What does that make you?
Lollygaggers.
Lollygaggers. But it's a great movie. Tim Robbins, Oscar winner, another one for me. So I just think that it is. It has a movie that has grown on me. As I've seen it young, it didn't capture me as much, and now as I rewatch it, every time I rewatch it, I like it a little more.
Most fascinating thing to me about this movie is that Susan Sarandon's character is Annie Savoy.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
A few years earlier, The Natural,
Huh?
the Bat Boy is named Bobby Savoy.
Okay.
That is not a common last name like Smith or Jones or
I wonder if there's a
Mims.
reason. Sure.
So just there's a lot of interconnectedness with all these movies, and that Savoy last name is just yeah.
Because we have plenty of actors that are just showing up in all these movies as we've been naming them as we've been going on. There's
absolutely
plenty of repeat. They just like baseball movies.
Correct. All right, so that is your number 3.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if we'll ever match up. My number 3 is The Sandlot.
We're gonna have to wait.
Oh no,
we won't have to wait long though.
That's a good thing because I really enjoy The Sandlot.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so where are we?
That'd be number 2 next.
Number 2 for you. Okay,
that's why we won't have to wait long for The Sandlot because that's my number 2.
Okay.
What do you love about The Sandlot?
Everything.
Right? It's perfect. It's close to perfect as far as a baseball movie. I was really debating this and then what my number 1 ended up being.
It is the greatest movie about making s'mores.
It is. First, you take the ground. Then you put the chocolate on the ground.
And then the mallow?
You roast the mallow.
Mallow.
When the mallow's flaming, you stick it on the chocolate, and you cover it with the other end, and then you scarf.
You know, the antagonist, the main sort of perceived antagonist in the movie is the dog.
And maybe by proxy of that is also James Earl Jones. They're scared of him and this dog at first.
And then Benny the Jet Rodriguez has to outrun the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And the film...
Because he wears those Nike Flyers. They make you run faster and jump higher.
Yes. And then he went on to a long career with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I'm pretty sure they're probably still paying his contract today because they deferred his salary like they like to do with everybody. And I don't know. It's such a coming of age movie. It's great.
I mean,
Great actors. Dennis Leary,
Kieran Allen from Indiana Jones. Yes, Marion Ravenwood is in there. I mean, as far as we're talking movies that have endlessly quotable and then even like legendary lines.
Yeah,
I mean, Killing Me Smalls is just like parent vernacular. I feel like that kids just like hear it constantly from us until we have them watch The Sandlot.
And how many people know that originates from the making of the s'mores?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't even talk about baseball when he first says it. He just had never had a s'more before. He didn't know what it was.
What's a s'more?
S'more what? Do you want some more?
Killing Me Smalls.
He says it again after when they're playing baseball, so he gets up in there twice.
He does.
Mm-hmm. Ham Porter, legend.
Ham Porter.
But it is
another catcher.
Yes. He's calling the shots. And although I would say Benny the Jet's probably the quarterback of the Sandlot team. They're just out there for him to practice.
That's true.
They play a game that just never ends, and they don't take score. I just love the idea of it being, as far as baseball being a childhood, love. Sandlot really shows you just how much the game can mean to someone, and how much it captures the essence as far as like growing up. It's the scene when they are playing at night. Might be the best scene of the movie, I think. Mm-hmm. You have Ray Charles singing while they're at the American Beautiful.
America the Beautiful.
While the fireworks are going off. That's why they play at night on the 4th of July, because it's the only night where they have lights over the Sandlot where the fireworks are playing, so they're able to play a night game. But it's that scene just shows you what the Sandlot's about. Like, this game is everything to these kids. But it also has just a sense of acceptance and understanding different people, because Smalls does not understand baseball, and at first they will not let him into their little crowd. They're excluding him, and then they give him a chance. Benny takes him under his wing, a good role model for any someone to see as far as how do you be there for somebody versus just laughing them off and send them on their way.
Gives them a hat, gives them a glove, teaches them what to wear to play baseball. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
but he doesn't teach him who Babe Ruth is. Like, there are several times where they could have told him who the King of Crash is and the Sultan Swan. They don't explain it to him. So when he goes and steals Dennis Leary's signed Babe Ruth ball and they play with it, then it becomes the second half of the movie is all about this. It becomes less about playing games of baseball and just kids being kids trying to get this ball back from the beast that lives over the fence.
With the introduction of James Earl Jones in the movie and him talking about playing with George. Oh, you mean George? Yeah. George Herman. Talking about just his playing days with Babe Ruth, and just is another highlight of the movie.
And you have the actor that plays Babe Ruth in The Sandlot is one of the players on the White Sox in Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
So there's another one of those actors who's just connected. Like, maybe they just love being in baseball movies, like Kevin Costner.
Yeah. So there are so many different connections, and we could probably spend all day talking about that. But Sandlot, wonderful film. And I would say if you've got a child who's probably in middle school who could probably appreciate stuff like that. And
my son likes this movie a lot.
Okay. And it's one of the best. So my number 2 movie, who I think you have it lower on your list, Major League.
That was my number 5.
That's your number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's just something inspirational about it. And it's, you got Wesley Snipes.
It's a very Bad News Bears in the major leagues kind of feel to it.
Yeah. And I guess when it came out in 89, the Braves were terrible. And so I don't really know how good Cleveland was back then either. Mm-hmm. So, sort of worst to first type of feel to it.
Right.
Tom Berenger. Charlie Sheen, Wild Thing.
Mm-hmm. Charlie Sheen, also in 8 Men Out.
Yeah, he's another classic
Wesley
baseball
Snipes, also in The Fan.
Yeah. Renee Russo.
Mm-hmm. She's in Tin Cup, so there's a sports movie connection there.
Dennis Haysbert.
With Kevin Costner in Tin Cup.
Corbin Burson.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Boo.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just a classic, and if it's ever on, I'm usually watching
It's an
it.
underdog story. I love a movie that ends on a freeze frame, and I think this movie has a great ending freeze frame. When you got Rene Russo comes out of the crowd, Tom Berenger holds her up, and then you get Willie Mays Hayes and Wild Thing pointing at each other. It's just a great shot after they just had their win.
So, have you ever noticed how many baseball movies they talk about they're playing for the pennant?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, playing for the pennant is not going for the World Series.
Yeah.
So if the Atlanta Braves win the National League this year, they will win the pennant, but it's not the World Series. So it's like,
I think they just don't want to rewrite kind of just baseball history of like who's won the World Series. Maybe it's like sacred stats that sometimes they don't want to try and overstep of like, well, then our movie loses ground if we say they won the World Series.
So yeah, that's
my theory. I don't know.
I guess it
keep
just
stakes lower.
It leaves it to imagination on whether Cleveland went on to win the World Series. But
a great scene of Tom Berenger running the first as he is.
Oh gosh,
yeah,
bad knees and all.
It's just sacrificing yourself for your team, which we'll be talking about in a minute, I think.
You know, I wanted to when I coached high school baseball, I wanted to call that play, but we were never in a situation or we just weren't there to where it was possible. But I thought that would have been a fun play to call. We would have probably been thrown out by like 10 feet at home plate. That would have been ugly. But you know who made the movie, and that's Bob Uecker.
Yeah, it was the announcer, yeah.
Long time.
Another great baseball line that is just used all the time now.
Just a bit outside.
He says it in the sequel too, I think.
Oh,
Have you seen the sequel, Major League 2?
No. You know why I haven't seen the sequel?
Was it in the 90s when you were in college and too busy for movies?
Well, that too.
Okay.
But I made the mistake of watching Caddyshack 2.
Right.
That's ruined. I will watch Happy Gilmore 2, which comes out this summer on Netflix.
Just came out. Yeah, it looks fun.
That's really fun. But after watching Caddyshack 2, that sort of ruined movies with the number 2 in it.
I mean, they do just try and recreate the entire movie over again in Major League 2. So it's okay. I remember liking it a lot. It's in the 90s when I watched it.
There's so many quotable lines from Major League, and it's such a fun movie. And that's probably my daughter Rachel's number 1 baseball movie of all time. She loves this movie, and it is very, very high up on my list.
Very rewatchable.
Okay, so here we go.
Are we here at the end?
Let's unveil it. I think I have deduced what your number 1 movie of all time is, and I just rewatched this movie and absolutely love this movie. So go for it.
League of Their Own is my favorite baseball movie of all time. It is, we're back to like the redemption arc that you have with Tom Hanks. You have a sister rivalry between Dottie and Kit that I think is interesting. And then just the historical aspect of it, where it is based on something that actually happened as far as the Women's Baseball League that formed once the draft for World War II and the Major League Baseball players were.
That's actually in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Yeah. Which I've never been to, which I really wish I could go to.
I've been there twice. You need to carve out 4 or 5 hours at least, and it's wonderful.
It ends with them going in there, and it's this when I was a little boy. I had 2 movies that I recorded on a blank VHS tape that I would fall asleep to every single night. One was The Sandlot, and as soon as The Sandlot would end, A League of Their Own would come on.
Number 2 and number 1.
Number 2 and number 1. So that might have some reason of why I have these picked. But I just think that this, again, captures that love of baseball by how much these players want to be on the team. Has a great cast with Rosie O'Donnell. But Tom Hanks comes in this movie. I forget sometimes how late it takes for Tom Hanks to join the movie. But once he does, like he just adds. This is before he really wanted on his dramatic run, but he's just hilarious in this movie.
How about one of the actors in this movie who's sort of understated, maybe, but he is also
say David Strathairn?
I am going to say David Strathairn. He was also in 8 Men Out. He was one of the starting pitchers. Such a great actor.
He is. He's a that guy. He's a that guy actor where not everybody knows that name, but Strathairn is, you see his face, you're like, oh yeah, he's in plenty of movies I've seen and loved.
Well, as someone who grew up watching Saturday Night Live in the 1980s, I absolutely loved John Lovitz in this film. And he was only in it for a few minutes, but I just rewatched it and I had my headphones in and I'm watching the movie on my phone. and my family is watching me, and I am just dying laughing.
See, the way it works is the train moves, not the station.
There are so many great lines. Some of them probably can't quote here, but he was hilarious, and just thrown to the aspect. So it's a comedy, and you got Gina Davis, who's
Fantastic in it.
She's fantastic. Madonna, fantastic in it.
And
Lori Petty.
I was going to say, some people don't like Lori Petty in this movie because, I mean, she's whiny, she's very little sistery, and she's upset. But the idea of her living in the shadow of Dottie, like, they don't shy away from how hard that's got to be, and that really does a number on her. I mean, by the end of the movie, she's, got her head in her hands in the dugout and just having a total kind of crisis with it. I love Kit's character,
but Rosie O'Donnell was great in it.
Yes, she is.
There were so many great performances, and there's so much great chemistry.
They're a great team. That's what goes into a baseball movie is the idea of perseverance. We love an underdog story, but it's that team that makes a great baseball movie. And the Rockford Peaches are a great team. Plenty of other actresses that I'm not going to know the name of, but you have Betty Spaghetti, and you have Marla, who's what a hitter.
Yeah.
And Stewell and his mom add a whole lot to the movie as well.
So Betty Spaghetti, that's it's a comedy, but in the backdrop is World War II. And so some of these players, they have husbands who are
heartbreaking scene,
who are playing overseas. And, Jimmy Dugan, Tom Hanks, he's got that note, and Gina Davis is super nervous that it's going to be her.
If you watch Gina Davis's acting, like not even saying a word during that scene when Tom Hanks walks past her and you just see her suck her breath in and sit up because he almost pauses in front of her. Like you see everything going through her head in one little movement, and but then he moves past her and goes to Betty Spaghetti.
And it's heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. And then Bill Pullman comes in.
That's right. He just storms in this movie, and it's Pullman. I love Bill Pullman.
Yes. But what's your favorite line from this movie?
I mean, this is one that also has a very famous baseball line that gets used all the time, and I don't even know if it is my favorite. But of course, we're talking about there's no crying in baseball.
There's no crying. Why are you crying? There's no crying.
It'd be hard for me to pick a favorite line from this movie. This is, I mean, falling asleep to it over and over again as a child. Like I can just talk along with this movie. I love all of it, whether it's John Lovitz's line or Hanks's line.
I think when we rank movies like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's not like there's a wide gap between 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's more like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and that's what I feel like A League of Their Own is. Because League of Their Own could be my number one at times. I love this movie. I think it's fantastic.
Plenty of these movies are like in my head, but there's a lot in League of Their Own that just like lines from it are just like, even has anybody seen my red hat? Like a little minor line in the movie that, like, if someone says, has anybody seen, in my head I'm finishing that sentence with my red hat, and I can't say Gina Davis's response to that after this.
That's okay. Penny Marshall directed it, and that is a certain home run. For certain, she just a fantastic job.
She directed Tom Hanks in Big years before that, and the two of them joined together. She's a fantastic comedy director and has plenty of dramatic moments in this movie as well.
And I believe Tom Hanks, his career just sort of took off from this movie on.
After this, he went to do Philadelphia. He did Forrest Gump, 2 Best Actor winners in a row.
And then Apollo.
Gina Davis has an Oscar too.
Apollo 13,
Apollo
somewhere
13,
there.
Ron Howard.
Yeah. So, okay. So I guess it all comes down to me and my number one, which you have lower. It's okay.
I have lower. I like it a lot. So yeah, it's a great movie. But tell me why you like this number one movie. What is this?
My number one movie, and some people will agree with me, The Natural, 1984. I was 10 years old when it came out. Robert Redford, just a lovely story.
It's a Barry Levinson movie.
Yeah. It's, oh my gosh. Just run down the list of actors, actresses in this movie. Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Richard Farnsworth. The only thing that disturbs me about this movie is that Wilford Brimley was 50
He's the coach.
when it came out. I'm 51.
He was forever just an old man.
I'd like to think I look better at 51 than Wilford
course.
Brimley looked in this movie as 50.
He was born an old man and just stayed there.
It's a redemption film.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a mystery, I guess. Mm-hmm. You've got the Whammer, Babe Ruth. I want to call him Joe Don
Baker.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. I want to call J. Don Blake was a golfer. So that's but yeah, J. Don Baker as the Whammer. He was excellent in that role. Mm-hmm. And you got Barbara Hershey, just sort of
the mysterious. Did we ever get a name with her? She just kind of pops in and out.
Harriet Bird.
Okay.
And she was just sort of the woman in black who,
shoots him.
She
shoots Robert Redford. That's at the beginning of it. That's not a spoiler.
I don't think it's a spoiler.
That's what it's about. He has to come back from this. She shoots him because he wants to break all these records in the league. So she's like protecting, I guess, some of these sacred baseball records.
Is it true what you said? Yes, I'm going to be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Very arrogant, Robert Redford. Very. It's not what the game's about, being the best. It's about a team. We've already established that.
Well, the Whammer.
Mm-hmm.
The Whammer's, he's going to be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. So, yeah, protecting that legacy and the whole silver bullet thing, and
sorry, go ahead.
No, just to me, this movie has so many different layers to it.
As an English teacher, there is a layer to this movie that I go to. Well, I've mentioned this to you before.
Go ahead and get into this.
Well, I don't know how familiar you are with Arthurian legend. King Arthur.
I've gotten more familiar after you told me this.
Right. If anybody's made it this far in the podcast, they might be turning it off at this point as I start going on about Arthurian legend. But the idea of the Fisher King is what this movie is based around. And once you have that pointed out to you, all of the signs, as far as what the Fisher King was a king that was guarding the Holy Grail in King Arthur legend, and is wounded. And as his wound is kind of settling in, the land around him becomes barren. So it's the dying king causes a dying kingdom. But the land becomes infertile, and it's the idea that Percival, as a knight of the Round Table, has to come and help free the Fisher King from this lot of being. He's wounded, so he's dying, but he can't die because he has the Holy Grail with him, as Indiana Jones lets us know that they'll grant everlasting life, which is why everybody was after it.
Yes.
But the Fisher King is tasked with protecting it. So he doesn't die, he's wounded, and you see how the name of the team of the Natural are the what?
The New York Knights.
They're the Knights. And what is Wilford Brimley's character name?
Pop Fisher.
Fisher. So his kingdom is dying. They're after that pennant. They're not getting that pennant. His franchise is dying. Even the water in the dugout is undrinkable. The land is just dying. And he needs a Percival to come with an Excalibur and show him how to bring this land back.
And that's the other thing. It's not like Robert Redford comes back from who knows where, 16 years later or something. I think I established that he was like 34-ish, and you're trying to figure out timelines. I mean, 34 is not young.
They comment on how old he's too old to be playing.
Yeah, but 34 back then especially was like really old. And so he doesn't, Pop Fisher isn't really happy about having him. Mm-hmm. I mean, you get Roy Hobbs, who was a pitcher who sort of reinvented himself as a hitter. Mm-hmm. I think Robert Redford has a wonderful swing, left-handed swing in this film.
He's another actor that just looks like he should be in baseball movies. He should have been in more baseball movies.
Yeah.
He looks like he played in the major leagues.
Yeah, it's weird because it's he's been in all the serious films. He's been in, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, All the President's Men.
He's in All the President's Men with Jason Robarbs from Little Big League.
Was it 3 Days, 3 Nights of the Condor?
The Condor, yeah.
A wonderful movie. But yeah, I mean, so he reinvents himself, and but he's not getting that chance. Mm-hmm. And it's not until Bump Bailey, Michael Madsen, runs into the wall, and boom, there goes Bump Bailey. That opens up a spot. Mm-hmm. And
Can we talk about the ending? I think it's it is definitely one of the best baseball endings.
Well, yes. Let's get
The score for The Natural is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and it is also one of the best shot, like cinematography. Like the movie is beautiful. Every shot looks like a painting.
well, Randy Newman. The music is outstanding. The score is just in my head. But before we get to that, I want to mention just Glenn Close
Right.
and how she, they're childhood friends. Roy Hobbs gets shot. They lose contact. There's no cell phones. There's no internet.
Right.
Can't send them an email. Hey, what you up to? So
Electronic mail.
he happens to be playing in Chicago, and he's sort of in a slump. When he gets with Kim Basinger's character, Mimo, which I find one of the most interesting names. It's like,
It is.
it's like Finding Mimo. And so he gets with Mimo, goes into a slump, goes to Chicago, and it shows that she's being put out there by the dad in a children's story, and that is Darren McGavin, who plays a very small role, but a very important role in the film. And so Glenn Close goes to the baseball game. He's struggling. It gets late in the game. I want to say the last inning. And she stands up in all white.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you probably have some theories on what that means. To me, it's just like there's an angel.
We also have the woman who shot him is wearing all black.
Such a contrast, right?
Right.
So,
Barbara Hershey.
So yeah, he sees her. They reestablish that relationship, and then learns later, in the last game. Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Okay. That he has a son that he never knew anything about. So all of a sudden, it becomes sort of a father-son type film. So anyway, continue on to what you were saying.
Well, the movie ends with the idea of him being shot by Barbara Hershey. The bullet has done some significant damage as the movie goes on to him, and he's told by a doctor, if you keep swinging a bat, you're gonna rip the wound back open, and you're gonna bleed out. You're gonna die. So she tells him to not play in the game, and she talked about team, and he sacrifices for his team. He's gonna play anyway, and in that final scene of the game, you see him, bleeding through his shirt. The catcher notices it, and he's wincing, and he's in pain, but he's playing through it, and he takes that shot that literally knocks the lights out of the stadium, and then you have that awesome score playing while all of he's running the bases with all of the cinders falling around him, and it's what an amazing shot of that. But it ends with him running the bases, and then it cuts, if I'm right, it cuts right to him playing baseball in the wheat field with his son.
Hey, son, want to have a catch?
It's very heavenly, if you ask me. We've argued about this.
We have argued about this.
I think Roy Hobbs dies from that, and this is his heaven, is playing catch as he does with his dad at the beginning of the movie with his son. This would be heaven to him. It's very kind of gladiator ending. Wheatfield.
Yeah, it's very, very circular in that,
I think it gives the movie more gravity if he literally sacrificed himself for his team, as far as this being a redemptive story, because he does have this kind of like resurrection to him of him being shot and then he comes back.
I think there's so many fantastic scenes and there's so many fantastic themes in the movie. There's, the whole father-son thing. Him and Bobby Savoy, the Bat Boy.
He's after Roy Hobbs just wants to break records, and he wants to be the best there is, and he has Wonder Boy to help him do that. And once he learns to let that go, he realizes he doesn't need to be the best. He doesn't need Wonder Boy.
Well,
Wonder Boy fails him
during the movie. Bobby is enamored by the bat, and he tells him, "Hey, I'll go show you how to make your own bat." So,
which is carved from a tree that is struck by lightning as a child, where his father had a heart attack right under the time before. So I feel like there's this father-son connection between him and Bobby. And that's one of my favorite lines that sort of gets to me. It's such an emotional scene when Wonder Boy breaks and you're like, oh. And, it kind of gives pause to him. And
he goes up to Bobby and pick me out a winner, Bobby. The old Savoy special. So there's so many great things I like about this movie, and if it's on, I will watch it. And like I said, there's so many different layers to it. The music,
It is fantastic.
the acting, the whole. There's gambling in baseball, which goes back to Eight Men Out. Anyway, the father-son element, and then we brought in Arthurian legend. So,
As we should.
As we should.
It was a fine pick for a number one. I can't argue with it.
So, yeah, I mean, as we close, I think the thing about baseball movies is that does anyone really have a wrong opinion on what's 1 or what's 2 or what's 10?
Never, but it causes great conversations to take place like we've just had.
Yeah, I think our list is more legitimate than some of the websites I've seen, like Harper's Bazaar and just random.
Of course, ours is better.
Yeah. You feel pretty good about your list?
I feel very confident in it.
Yeah, I like your list. I mean, it's almost as good as mine, but
It's a good top 10. League of their own, all-time top 10.
the CavsCast episode about baseball movies and what Nick Mims and I believe are the greatest baseball movies of all time.
We got to do this again.
We will.
I know you have a horror movie list that you watch every October that you make for yourself.
I do.
Maybe we need to
Shocktober, which has morphed into Shocktimber.
we need to meet up around then and have another debate.
Alfred Hitchcock. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of the recent Nosferatu later. So anyway,
There are lots of pros.
this has been the CavCast, and my name is Chris Gay. I'm the Director of Communications at Augusta Prep, and thank you for listening.